primetime showdown tonight between the Horned Frogs and Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick.
Bill Belichick.
It's Chapel Bill time.
He's got a man out there, and hauling it in is Jordan Shipp. Right side. Touchdown, Carolina. What a start for Belichick.
Deep ball left side. Hoover's got man coverage. Man breaking free. Catch made. Touchdown. Lopez throws left. It is picked off. Touchdown. Bob Clark. Pressure. Down to go. Ball is loose. Picked up by the Frogs. Scoop. And score. Hit the horn.
Who is Bill?
They spoiled Bill Belichick's debut as the head coach of the Tar Heels with a one-sided victory.
We're going back to work, and we're going to get better.
There is no rule against improvement, but there's also being overwhelmed. TCU is a really, really good team, but it's the most points a Belichick team has ever allowed. Got hammered there. Some kind of night, and then it ended that way.
Yeah, it was certainly not the outcome that Michael Lombardi, the general manager of UNC, and Bill Belichick expected, and Steve Belichick and everything like that. And I think a lot of us didn't expect that as well. But I do believe that there was some positive. We were very lucky to be there. Obviously, you two on the call, you did a great job. We got a chance to do the kickoff show with Teddy Bruschi was there. Randy Moss was there. Yeah. You're talking Lawrence Taylor was there. Michael Jordan was there. Mia Hamm was there. Yeah. And that place was alive. I mean, there was a 15-minute period, okay, right before kickoff, and then right before TCU's first drive, where they get the ball, they go down and score. The place is going crazy. Petey Pablo's performing North Carolina. Right. The place is going, it's like, holy hell, they did it. This is it. And then it all goes downhill from there, basically. Down. Now they know what it looks like. They know what it feels like. Right. And they're going to be chasing that dragon for the rest of the time that they're there. And will they ever be able to get there? We shall see. But it's going to be a long road, it looks like, after Monday night.
Yeah, I think people thought because it's Bill Belichick, he brings all these Super Bowl rings, it's going to be like just flip a switch and things are going to change overnight. This is going to be a tough and a long build. They're going to have to be very patient down there at Chapel Hill because, he's dealing with a group that he has to really teach the fundamentals. Watching them that night was really disappointing, not from an execution standpoint, but just from the basic fundamentals. Guys not hustling to the ball, getting to the ball, not making tackles, not getting blocks, not getting off of blocks, just the basic things that you would normally look at a Bill Belichick team, and you're like, okay, these guys are fundamentally sound. Those things weren't there yet, but I think he'll get there, but it's going to take some time, guys.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think the biggest thing I took away from that is TCU, like Reese mentioned, is really, really good with a great quarterback. Sonny Dykes is retooled. They're going to be a threat, and everybody in the Big 12 better be ready to deal with the Horned Frogs this year. The other thing I think calling the game with Reese and I before our dog Peter took over was Max Johnson gave them some rhythm, some continuity. You got 70 new players. Max Johnson overcame a horrific knee injury or leg injury. It's great to see that he got his opportunity, and maybe they can build something around him. I just wanted to ask you, Coach, have you ever experienced anything like this when you left the NFL? I know you were with the Browns. You went to Michigan State. Anything in that transition that you can relate to what Belichick's going through right now?
I mean, I know exactly how Bill feels. Because I went through a very similar situation at the Cleveland Browns. We go to Michigan State. The first game we play against is Nebraska. And they just came off of winning the national championship. They've got Lawrence Phillips. Yeah. I mean, we got a couple of good players, Muhsin Muhammad, Tony Banks, but not that caliber. So we go in this game, and we get beat like 56-7. Wow. And I'm on the sideline saying, we may never win a game here. We're horrible. I mean, we couldn't tackle anybody. Yeah. I mean, it was awful. So I know exactly how Bill feels. But when I went out and shook hands with Tom Osborne after the game, he put his arm around me, and he says, "You're not as bad as you think." And, we went on to go 6-6 and went to a bowl game, with that team because we weren't as bad as we thought. And I think if Bill does a good job of getting these guys to play a little more fundamentally sound, they won't be as bad as everybody thinks. So I think for the Carolina fans, there's a lot of hope there that there'll be a lot of improvement.
I don't know if we're going
Wiley heard that.
I don't know if we're going there for College Game Day this year.
No, I think that was it for you.
That might have been it. Can you imagine if Sonny Dykes went out after the game, went to Belichick and goes, "Hey, Bill, you're not as bad as you think."
Or welcome to college ball.
What a campus, though. Great campus.
Sonny had a point to prove. They were making a point. We're at the DoorDash dashboard, and Kirk, I've heard Nick say many times, football's the greatest team game except for one position. And that's where you need a dude. Michigan may have one.
Yeah, they certainly do. Bryce Underwood, the true freshman quarterback. First of all, before we look at tape, what did you see from him in the opener against New Mexico? Looked like he was in command of that offense.
No doubt. And the guy can make all the throws at quarterback position. But the thing that impressed me most when he came to our camp, when he was a young player in high school, is his maturity as a player. You know, your maturity is your ability to stay focused on the right stuff in critical moments. And that's what I think he showed in the first game is he didn't look like a freshman out there.
He didn't at all.
And it's going to be a real challenge for him in this environment to see if he can
on the
sustain
road
that.
for the first time against a great defense that's had a chance to prepare for him. Let's look at last week's game. The thing that I think stood out on the tape is how quick he made decisions. Quick ball fake here, Coach, finds the tight end in that seam.
Yeah, this is a pretty easy read for him. Play action pass with the guard pulling its linebacker to step up. Knows he's going to throw the ball to the tight end here right up the middle.
Look at the release, how quick this ball gets out of his hands off that fake.
Yep.
And then there's the yards after the catch. You'll see that be kind of a constant theme throughout this is the accuracy and the yards after the catch. Here's the arm strength. First of all, he comes back into the pocket. This guy wants to play from the pocket. You know, he can run, but he really can get it done from the pocket. Watch how he drops back, climbs, and the ball is out.
This was actually the most impressive throw when I watched the game that I thought he made because of the read. He's got to fit the ball in. You know, they're playing, down safety here in Buzz, and he fits the ball in, hits the dig across the middle. Very impressive for a young player.
That was 3rd and 14, and again, with the accuracy, yards after the catch. Now, here he is if he gets pressured, which tonight he's going to get pressured. How does he handle that on the run? Very, very comfortable off the fake, steps up, then out, and then how about that back against his body? Finds that quick window, puts it on the money, and there again,
the most impressive thing about that is a lot of quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks, when they get pressured, they look at the rush. He kept his eyes downfield and was able to make a play, and he's got some violence in his release and his throw, which leads to velocity on the ball.
This is how a true freshman in his first game wins the locker room over. It's going to be an easy touchdown, but watch 19. Instead of just he wants a piece of that.
He wants a piece of it. My man, Justin Vincent, Alabama guy.
Yeah. But overall, if you're Michigan and Chip Lindsey, what can you do to take some of the burden off of him? Brent Venables is going to show him one thing pre-snap, go to another, going to try to affect his mind. What can they do to slow the game down for him tonight?
Well, to me, they'll probably get in the huddle more and make it a little easier for him. But the second thing is when you can create balance on offense and you can run the ball, which I think Michigan can. They have 2 good backs, pretty good offensive line. Quarterback doesn't have to win the game. He just has to do his job so that they have the best opportunity to stay out of bad situations for him. But he just has to execute and play his position.
And Reese, if they can get back to being Michigan, like running the football, controlling the line of scrimmage, that'll take a ton of, obviously, getting that 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, not those 3rd and 7s and 3rd and 8s.
You see these debuts the quarterbacks had. Underwood threw for 246, responsible for a touchdown. But, Pat, there's some other guys out there who really had big days, not just guys listed here. Mateer's been great, too.
Yeah, 2 of the guys on this graphic right here played at like 1, 2 a.m. Eastern time, and I'm going to blame them for not getting a lot of sleep. They were impossible to turn off. They're making big-time plays, which means you get rid of this one, you bring this one in. Now, when you're talking about these quarterbacks, okay, here's first. This guy right here, Devin Dampier. He comes into Utah, Whittingham's team, with his offensive coordinator from New Mexico, Jason Beck. They're on the same exact page. Don't you bring your little sword in here, Kirk. I'm going to bury you. This guy, unbelievable performance in his first night as a Utah Ute. Now, obviously, Whittingham is going to have the defense ready, but if you can have an offense that's dominant, they had a 21-play, 9-minute and 44-second drive. He does it all on the ground through the sky. This guy, Songa Politelli for California. Interesting story on transfer portal before his freshman year. Cal, Oregon, back to Cal. All I know, this Oos right here out of Hawaii, unbelievable. He's got the left arm sleeve. Oh, that's going to be a back shoulder ball, right? No? You think you got him? Is that right? No. Let me put it on a dime. He went 9 for 9 to start his college career. And then Thomas Castellanos. Everybody should know him. If you don't, let's do a little reminder. At Boston College, he did the same exact thing. Now he's at Florida State. Norvell's thanking the football gods every day for this guy. And Kalen DeBoer is wondering, this guy ain't supposed to talk shit to us and then come in and steamroll us. And that's definitely what they did. And Nick, you weren't there to save him, buddy. And I'm pumped with how great these guys are playing. I'm telling you, though, that Utah, mighty Utah student section is going to enhance Devin Dampier, I think. And then that Songapolatelli kid from Cal, he is lightning in a bottle. We got a lot of great players right now in college ball early in the season, obviously.
Calgary might have to write a song about Songapolatelli soon. Look, we were all fired up for Arch Manning's. It wasn't his debut. He'd started a couple of games last year. Didn't go the way he had hoped against Ohio State. What are the biggest changes you think Arch needs to do? What types of improvements for him going forward here, starting today against San Jose State?
Yeah, well, starting today against San Jose State, I think you just go out there and let the game come to him. You guys don't like talking about Arch. Don't want to hear about Texas, huh?
They don't want Texas.
But you were happy last week with the results, right? I think, it's a chance for him to gain some confidence against San Jose State. I think that the offense is going to be a little better now. It's just, listen, he ran into Matt Patricia in Ohio State on the road. Just wasn't ready for the moment.
Are you worried about him? Are you worried about him at all?
I'm not worried about him for the next 3 weeks. No. Now, October 4th, they got to play Florida down in Gainesville. When they tussle with the Gators, I want to see exactly where he is at that point. These next 3 games, they should build a lot of confidence and look good doing it.
Look, Arch played with a lot of anxiety in that game. You could see it. His footwork wasn't great. He was not in his normal rhythm throwing the ball. This guy is going to grow out of that very quickly. We didn't even see that last year when he had to play last year. So playing on the road at Ohio State was a little too much for him, but he's going to be just fine.
We assume he's going to bounce back and have like 10 touchdowns today, and the whole conversation is going to be back around Arch, but certainly not to start. Maybe 12 touchdowns. Maybe 15. Maybe 30 touchdowns for Arch Manning. No, but he's going to have a huge day today, we all assume. Last week was not a desirable start, though, to the Arch Manning era.
Yeah. Let's show just a couple plays. I talked with Sark this week about, what do you want to see him get better? And he's like, just trust it. Just let it go. There's some open receivers. This is a big play in this game. And look at his eyes. He sees it. He just doesn't give it the time and the ability to let it go. Instead, checks it down, but had a huge gain there. So everybody talked about Matt Patricia and what Ohio State did. There was some of that. Some of it's just missing and not trusting what his eyes are seeing him. I think he played maybe a little cautious. Coach, like you said, on the road, tough environment, a lot at stake, number 1 team in the country, defending national champs. I think he was, instead of getting in those kind of throws and just believing in it and ripping it, he came off of open guys and was a little bit too cautious. I think that'll change pretty quickly starting today.
What people lose, though, is that you go to Texas to play in games like that in that environment.
Yeah.
But when you have those kind of expectations on you, at his age, really hard not to create a lot of anxiety, try to prove something. And I think that had something to do with it. I think he'll get out of that and he'll be just fine.
He missed one early, and then it sort of seemed to get away.
Good fourth quarter. Can't wait to see him play Oklahoma, Arch Manning.
Long season. Nick, in the 3 games matching top 10 opponents last week, the 3 winners, Ohio State, LSU, and Miami, seemed to be the tougher, more physical team.
Yeah, we talk about physical all the time, but what is being physical in football? First of all, everybody has a task, everybody has a technique, and then what impact can you make by executing that technique? Now, that technique is different for every position. Being physical as a receiver is different than being physical as a linebacker. But today we're going to focus on the line of scrimmage, which is the O-line and how they control the line of scrimmage. So this is the Miami game. These 2 guys, this is an inside zone play. They're going to double team that guy. These 2 guys are going to double team this guy. The more movement that they get on these guys, the tougher it is for the linebacker to fit their gaps. Now, this is not the only part of being physical, because you see the receiver coming through here and he's going to block the safety. He's being physical. The runner's downhill, physical. The DBs are trying to be physical and tackling him. He's running behind his pads and gets positive yards.
How about LSU Clemson here?
Okay, so same thing. The interesting thing about this one is it's still a zone blocking play, but they're going to run a twist inside, and these three guys for LSU are going to do a fabulous job of passing it off, get really good movement here. Again, the receiver is going to come across and block support, and the runner is going to do a really good job of seeing the movement inside, reading the play, bouncing the play. 12 blocks the linebacker scraping, 29 does a good job, 5 good physical tackle.
Now, what's the difference here in this Ohio State run against Texas? The difference from the schemes we've seen in the first two?
Well, the first two were zone plays. All right, this is a gap play. These two guys are going to double team this guy and try to create movement backwards. You're going to pull the guard, bring the tight end. Everybody knows what counter trey was in the old days when you pull the guard and the tackle. Most people take an athletic tight end and do the same thing. So it's a gap blocking play. And this is tremendous movement by 67 and 51, which is what you need. The linebacker doesn't read the guard pulling, steps in the gap, they dad off to him. 77, 89 come around, get good blocks. So you end up having a positive run. Being physical on the line of scrimmage is very important to control the line of scrimmage so that you create positive down and distance for yourself on offense, and you can keep the defense on its heels.
So teams looking for areas of improvement. These teams were in the top 10 and lost last week. Now, Alabama was the only one to lose to an unranked opponent. Both Notre Dame and Texas were on the road against top 10 teams. Clemson might have played the best team in the country in LSU, but they were at home. And you see the pressure percentage, the blown blocks, the problems that they had up front, sort of underscoring what Nick was talking about being physical and winning big games. Now, the thing that jumps off the page is Alabama's performance or lack thereof against Florida State. Quick note, today in the game against ULM, Ryan Williams not expected to play, had the concussion. But Alabama had some things to address after that performance while still giving credit to Florida State.
I think that's the first thing. Is I think we all did that. You know, Florida State looks to be like a formidable opponent this year for a lot of teams with that quarterback, and they just played with a chip on their shoulder. I think we all took away two things. Florida State looks like they're a good team, and Alabama, just the concerns of it's one thing to lose a football game on the road to open up the season. It was just very strange to see the players in those uniforms not playing up to kind of the standard as far as hustle, attitude, kind of a togetherness, a fight. You just didn't see much of that. And it was almost like as the game got away from them, it got worse and worse. So, you know, Coach, I know this is near and dear to your heart to watch Alabama play. What's your takeaway from that, and how does this team improve, not just today, but the rest of the year?
Well, I think the question everybody has, fans, coaches, even players, why? You know, why did we play the way we played? And it seemed like to start the game and go right down the field and look like an Alabama team and score a touchdown. But then as soon as Florida State went down the field and scored a touchdown, the whole disposition of the team changed, the passion on the sidelines, the enthusiasm. And then they played that way the rest of the game. And you got to give Florida State a ton of credit, man. They played a really, really good game. And I'm telling you, when Gus has a quarterback that is athletic and can run, his offense is really difficult to defend when it comes to running the ball. And they controlled the game by running it.
Yeah, in Alabama, obviously a big storyline because the standard is you. And that is certainly going to continue forever, especially as you dominate the TV with us, which we are grateful for. Notre Dame, I want to talk about Notre Dame. I don't think they looked bad at all in that game against Miami. I think all these teams that signed up for these massive games week one, I'm very appreciative of. I don't think any of them have been ruled out for future college football playoff conversations. I think Notre Dame is going to be back. I think Miami, we learned a lot about in that particular game. But I think the top 10 teams that played last week, just like Stanford Steve has said, I think they're all going to still have a great season going forward. Clemson, Maybe.
What's holding you back from Clemson?
I don't know. I just feel like the last couple of years watching them, I know Dabo's done a lot for college football and everything, but in this transitional world that we're in, he has not gone full board. And Cade Klubnik, I'm a believer in, but it feels like every time I watch him in a big game, they don't win. So, like, they have to get over that hump. Dabo's sprinting down the hill good, but will they be able to continue? I'm not 100% sure.
I tell you what, Notre Dame is a team I'm least concerned with. I was actually pretty impressed with CJ Carter, the way he stayed in the game and he fought for a young quarterback. Yeah, he really did. On the road in Hard Rock Stadium, I was really impressed by that. You look at Texas, obviously the talk is about Arch, but you have to look at the battle in the trenches, too. A few years ago when Coach was coaching and they went to Tuscaloosa and they beat Alabama, the first thing we said was they're built like an SEC team. They're heavy in the trenches. They're moving the line of scrimmage. They weren't able to do that against the Buckeyes. They had the ball inside the 5-yard line. It couldn't score touchdowns. That's where you start with a championship team. You have to be able to dominate the trenches, and they couldn't do that. That's a big concern. Obviously, all the attention's on the quarterback because his name is Arch Manning. But when you really look at the nuts and bolts of this team, they could not move the ball inside the 5-yard line to punch it in Columbus. That's a problem.
I watched them in the spring. The best thing he did was throw the ball down the field. And they didn't do that very much against Miami. Now, maybe it was Miami's defense. I don't know. Maybe they were trying to protect him a little bit. They threw a lot of screens, a lot of short passes.
Quick passes.
But when he starts doing that and they show some of that explosiveness down the field, Notre Dame's going to be a really good team.
And their two backs got to get more involved. I mean, they have a great combination of that backfield. I think Miami, we're talking a lot about teams losing and they still are going to be okay. I think Florida State and Miami both made statements. It kind of gets us excited to think about what it used to be in college football when Miami and Florida State were headed for a collision at some point in the season. Boy, you hope those two teams keep looking the way they looked in the opener because there was a lot of athletic ability.
Don't overlook Florida State's defense, too.
Yeah, that's right. First Saturday in October, that might feel like old times.
Yeah,
Florida State's back. Miami's back. Is Oklahoma back?
and LSU, to me, looks
back. Going to find out tonight, but it's not just going to be tonight with that schedule that these dudes play. I mean, they'll be proving it every week. Notre Dame's got A&M next week, too. That's a really big game after coming up a little short against Miami.
You want this, you got that. No way, watch them walk right past you. Run fast while you have the chance. Don't speak, let them look right at you.